Alright, so in the previous lesson we learned about widgets. In this lesson we're going to be learning specifically about plugins. And so what we're actually going to be talking about in this lesson is, first off, what are plugins, what can we use them for. Then I'm going to talk about, kind of just very briefly, the most important plugins. I'll give you a list of a few that kind of can improve, I guess, the back end of your WordPress website. How do we install these plugins, and also how do we install, I guess, third-party plugins that are made by external developers that are not in the WordPress.org directory. And I'll show you what all this is. So the first thing is, what are plugins? And so pretty much plugins, they're fairly broad what they can do, but we'll just say that they're add-ons to provide some type of functionality, either a functionality, a look, but generally they can do something either in the back end or something that we can actually see in the front end. And it's going to be generally something that can enhance performance. That's more back-end related things, but yeah, they can enhance performance or enhance design. And I'm going to show you exactly some of the examples of, I guess, the best plugins that I think that new websites should all have, right? And they can be variations of each of these. These kind of all fit under some very broad general category. The first being some type of caching plugin, and you can think very briefly. Caching plugin is simply, it'll speed up your website, right? So there's a couple different ones. W3 Total Cache is one of them, and WP Super Cache is one of them. And I believe actually when you initially install WordPress, WP Super Cache is already installed. And the reason why we're not using that one is simply because if you ever want to get something called a content delivery network, and that's what really actually enhances the speed and performance of your website. W3 Total Cache specifically works with content delivery network called Max CDN. So that's why I use W3 Total Cache. You can use whichever type of caching plugin you want. The second one being some type of social sharing, right? If we see different websites, they have some type of social sharing function, right? You can like it on Facebook or share it on Facebook, tweet about it, things like that. So the one that I use is Floating Social Bar. Third one is some type of contact form. And I don't actually use this one. I used to use this one, the Ninja Forms. I actually now use plugin that you have to pay for, which is called Gravity Forms. But Ninja Forms, I think, is the best alternative if you want something that's a free alternative to Gravity Forms. And the final one being some type of SEO plugin, right? Something that can kind of guide you along the way or enhance the search engine optimization. And I use the one by Yoast, and that's a one that a lot of people use. So now we're just going to get right into it and actually show you how to use plugins or how to install them. I gave you a very brief list before. What we're going to do is simply just go into plugins and let's just install one of them, right? Let's just install one of them and kind of see how it works, right? And the one that we're going to be installing is, let's just add a contact form, for example, the Ninja Forms contact form. And so when we go into plugins, this is in our backend of WordPress, so I'm assuming that everybody already has this installed. If not, you can go back to the previous videos, but just go into plugins and then you can add new, right? You can either click add new here, add new down there. So we'll just add new. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be searching, and this is going to be searching the WordPress.org directory, and the one that we're going to be looking for is Ninja Forms, right? And so we're just going to search that plugin and we're going to install it now. So once this has installed, we're just going to click Activate Plugin, and then once it's activated, we should see it somewhere within the settings or right here. So in the forms right here. So this is where all the plugins generally, when they are initially installed, we'll see either an option in settings or we'll see a brand new, completely new menu option over here, right? And then this is going to be in forms. And so what we're going to do is, I believe I already created a form before because I used Ninja Forms in the past. So what I'm going to show you is very, very briefly how to add a contact form, a new contact form. And so we probably won't have this already because this is something that I used in the past and it saved my settings. What we're going to do is just go into add new form, right? And what we're going to do here is, let's just title it, right? Let's just title it contact, and I'll just say number 2 because it's the second one that we made. And let's just save that. So all of these options kind of will be saved directly for us or automatically for us. The from email address, who the email is going to be sending to once we get the email that somebody has in fact entered a new entry into our contact form. and all these other additional options. We can just browse through them in the future, right? But what I want to show you is very briefly, how do we actually create our form, right? So in a contact form, what do you normally have, right? You normally have something like your name. You have, for example, your first name. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click it, and we'll see that it'll show up right here. So the first name, we want our user to enter their first name in. We can specify a lot of different options. I'm not going to go into too much into detail with those. Let's say we also need a last name, and you can specify whether or not this is required information or not, maybe their email as well. And then finally, probably just a text box or a text area. I think a text box is just one little line. A text area would be much bigger. And we can just save that. And when we save that, what we'll see is we'll go into form preview and kind of see what that contact form would look like on our website, right? And so that's exactly what we need, just first name, last name, email, and some type of text area, right? So where exactly do we want to put this? And what we generally want to do is we want to put this on some sort of page. And so what we're going to do very briefly is we're just going to add a new page. And so we'll call this our contact page. And then in order to add this form, all we're going to do is we're just going to specify right there, append a Ninja form contact to, and we're going to publish that. And once this is published, just click View Page. You can kind of see how that looks. And so this is exactly what we need. We want the contact page to have a first name, last name, email, and text area. Probably you don't want these sidebars, so very briefly, I can just show you how to remove those sidebars. So if you don't want any sidebars on your page, what you're going to do is you're just going to scroll down here. The default layout is whatever we set in our theme settings, and it's the one with the sidebar. We're going to specify the one with no sidebar, and we're just going to update that. And when we view the page, we'll see that in fact now we have a contact page and nothing else on there. And so that's exactly what we want. Very simple, very easy to use, and you can just kind of go through all the different settings. Ninja Forms is actually quite robust. It has quite a bit of power. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to go too much into detail of showing you how to install every single plugin. They kind of all work this way, right? You can just go through that list that I mentioned before, the caching plugin, social sharing plugin. We already installed the forms. So you can go through that, install whichever plugins you like. But another thing you can do is you can actually search the WordPress directory, right? So you can search, this is at wordpress.org/plugins, and these are all free plugins that different developers have made. You can literally just make anything you want. For example, if you want a forum, there's different plugins like, I believe it's called BBPress is a popular forum plugin. So you can add a lot of different functionality. You can just search the wordpress.org directory, or you can just Google search it, whatever you want, right? And so the next thing that we're going to be looking at is actually, one thing that we have on our website is this reviews plugin, right? This is reviews plugin, as you see right here. It adds these little stars on your Google search. So actually underneath the name of, if you were to search, for example, if you're able to stumble upon this page, you would see under it that it would have a 5-star because it's a review. So this was a review plugin. I mentioned before they have third-party plugins. This is a third-party plugin that I actually purchased. It's called Author H Review. They have a free and they have a premium version. So what I want to show you now is actually how do you install a plugin that maybe you downloaded from somewhere else, either from the wordpress.org directory or you purchased it from somewhere. Right? So we're going to go plugins and we're going to add new. And what we're going to do here is we're going to click upload. Right. So what we're going to do here really quickly is what we're going to do is just upload it, right? So if you notice right here, I've saved kind of a file, the file of the actual plugin right down here. It's the WP-reviews plugin. We're just going to install it, right? And so this is literally how you would install any third-party plugin, whether you purchased it or you download it from the wordpress.org directory. You just click activate. And it's going to work exactly the same as the Ninja Forms plugin, so I'm not going to actually show it. We'll see down here that that's where the reviews are. But that's actually how you would install a third-party plugin, right? You can use FTP access as well, but for me this is just very simple. Just add new and then upload a file. So that's actually all I want to show you in this lesson, but in the next lesson we're going to be looking at how to add custom menus or customized menus. And I mentioned this before in the top right header bar when we were looking at widgets. So this is something that will look right there, how to make different menu options for navigation and things like that.